Hey there, sports fans. This is Chris and Joe coming to you from behind the sports desk, which is miraculously dust free because we've been using it quite a lot lately, huh, Joe?
Yeah, we don't need the end dust anymore.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Um, it is Friday afternoon, September 19th, and we are going to do our preview of the 25-26 New York Islanders. So, as per custom, newly established custom, Joe, go ahead and take a look at the big board and tell us where are we starting with the Islanders today.
Well, we'll start with off-season moves.
Okay. So they
2025,
did a
25.
lot of
Yes.
housekeeping, a lot of offseason moves, a lot of 1 year, 2 year contracts. Some of the big takeaways the Isles did back in May, the end of May. They hired Matteau Darch as general manager and executive vice president. So that says goodbye to an era that was an era that was too long. Um, of their previous GM. Now, admittedly, he is of New Jersey Devils fame. Um,
Mhm.
do you remember the name of the most famous Devils GM, Joe, who was GM for of the Islanders for a little while there?
No, I don't. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm having a senior
That's
moment.
okay. It's Lou Lamoriello.
No, yeah, it's the Amarillo.
That's
Yes.
okay. So Lou Lamoriello, while having a legendary career with the Devils, much less so. Well, kind of legendary with the Isles, but for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
He created a cap hell for the Isles. So there's a decent amount that Darch has to get out from underneath, but he had a strong start. He made some good moves. Um, Starting one of the first things he did, that was honestly a really big deal, um, was saying, "Oh my gosh, where did I put it here?" And now saying goodbye to Noah Dobson.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
so
Dobson's gone.
trading him
Yeah.
to Montreal, and that was in late June. Got two first round draft picks, 16th, 17th overall, and forward Emil Heineman. And Dobson was a restricted free agent. The Isles couldn't reach an agreement on a new contract, and there was a lot of concern around making that move because Dobson he's a great player. You don't want to see this defenseman go, and there were plenty of people who were clambering over each other to try and get him on their roster. But this is smart management, right? Because you're already in cap hell. Do you really want to extend that by doubling down on this guy who, don't get me wrong, is worth the money? The money isn't the problem. The problem is you are in cap hell. So
Hmm.
you can't just bring in this defenseman is not going to win you a championship all by his lonesome. That's not
No.
how it works, right? That's not how this game works. So as a result, rather than being afraid to make the bold and questionable or questioned move. He moved Dobson out while he still could because he was an RFA, and got a good haul. And as it turns out, the Isles got to move up 4 spots in the draft, so they received the first overall draft pick, which is
Hmm.
huge. And they used that to draft defenseman Matthew Schaefer first overall in the draft this year. So, there's some people who are like, that's how you do it. And it's like, well, you also lucked into a number one spot.
Yeah.
I think there was I want to make sure I don't get this wrong, but hey, catch me in the Discord if I do get it wrong. I'm pretty sure they had like a 7% chance of that happening.
Wow.
They had a 7% chance of winning the draft lottery, and so it's great when you do it. And that's not to question Darch's moves. Just you also got lucky. You lucked into the first overall pick, but that was huge. Um, Signed defenseman Alexander Romanov to an 8 year contract. Obviously, feel really strongly about Romanov. I do not know anything about him, so I can't speak to whether that's a good move, a bad move. But my guess is that it's just business for them. He didn't want to go anywhere else, and he's happy to stay with the Isles, and they're happy to keep him. So that feels like they're just happy with that. Signed Kyle Palmieri to a 2 year contract.
He's
Palmieri
right.
is
Okay.
older, but he's a skilled player, and he's good to help teach the younger players, and I think he'll be a good transitional piece on the roster. Boquist to a 1 year contract, Liam Foudy to a 1 year 2 way contract, Julian Gauthier to 1 year 2 way contract. Um, signed goaltender David Riddick to a 1-year contract. Jonathan Drew into a 2-year deal. Signed forward Matthew Highmore along with defenseman Ethan Bear and Cole McWard to 1-year 2-way contracts. To be honest with you folks, I'm blowing through these because for me a lot of these are sort of incidentals. These
Mm.
1-2-year contracts are just business and filling out your roster, and that's okay. And seeing what you've got in some of these players. So a lot of these 1-year contracts, 1-year 2-way contracts, where players can move freely between the AHL and the NHL. See what you got. See when they're ready to move up. And we talked about this last time, which is they play in the minor league, they come up to the major league, they come to the NHL, they play a little bit, and then coaches go, "Great, this is what you need to work on," and then go back down to the minors.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Signed forward Simon Holstrom to a 2-year contract. Emil Heineman, we already got in the trade for Noah Dobson, so that'll be a bridge contract. Let's see what he can do, kind of thing. And I think that's solid. It's a prove it contract, and we'll see if Heineman can prove it. Signed forwards Maxim Shabanov to a 1-year entry level contract, as well as Mark Gatcomb. Signed forward Victor Eklund to a 3-year entry level contract. Um,
Mm.
Daniil Prokovarov to a 3-year entry level contract, and of course, signed defenseman Matthew Schaefer to a 3-year entry level contract. The one signing I have not mentioned yet that I am not a fan of at all, and this feels like a Lou move, not a Darch move. I hope this is not a signature Darch move. Signed Tony D'Angelo to a 1-year contract. I think Tony D'Angelo is a blight. Personally, like he's a goon and seems like not somebody you want in your locker room. But also, as teams have brought him in, he makes a lot of mistakes. He has screw ups, and they tend to be costly. So I don't know why they brought D'Angelo in. I've seen other teams do this. Carolina did this. Carolina is a strong, not just strong team, but they're a strong system. One criticism of the Hurricanes is that their system holds them back. They need to figure it out. But like their system consistently has them succeeding in the regular season and making the playoffs, and
Yeah.
then going a couple of rounds in the playoffs. So you can fault the system all you want, but you have a system that's been successful. You plug D'Angelo into it, and he makes costly mistakes enough that the Hurricanes got rid of him or let him walk. I think that's a mistake. I don't see him doing well with the Islanders, but nobody pays me the big bucks, so
No,
maybe
that's
I'm,
no good.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think D'Angelo is a poor choice for any locker room, including the Islanders locker room. I don't think the Islanders want him or need him, but they signed him, so they got him.
Okay.
So that's what I got on off-season moves. Any questions about that, Joe? Anything I missed?
Well, as I said before, this is my nephew's favorite hockey team, the Islanders. So we go back and forth when we're watching Ranger games, texting or Islander games. And I got the feeling from him last year, especially that he would, at the beginning of the year, he would text me, "It's nice to have a team. You root for a team that can score goals." Then we know what happened after that
Right.
with the Rangers, right? Well, it's really the defense that sunk them. But what does their offense look like this coming season for the Islanders?
I mean, I think it's a thing to look forward to. So if what do you think? Move into things to look forward to, or not quite yet? Let me just answer your question. Let's not move there just quite yet. But
Okay.
to answer your question, I think there is reason to look forward to it. Like, listen, they generated above league average high danger scoring chances last season. Above league average. Okay. I think that's something that they're happy to keep doing. So I do think there's offense to look forward to. Their problem with special teams. So I don't have a problem with their scoring per se. I think if they improve their power play, then the scoring comes from the power play. Their 5-on-5 is fine. I think they can do better, but I don't know. This is me being honest. I don't know they're going to be able to pull it together under Patrick Waugh. That's my opinion. Who's Darch bringing in to help? That might be a thing. So I don't. I honestly can't say, and I apologize to fans if this is like it sounds like a cop out. To be fair, I never claimed to be an expert, but also,
We
um,
just play one on the podcast.
yeah, right,
It's
exactly.
all either, yeah.
Um, but I honestly don't know. I think it comes down to special teams with regards to whether or not their scoring is going to be any better.
Okay.
I think they're very disappointed in last season. I think they've got a new GM, they've got some new blood, and they're excited about who they've got in the development pipeline. So I think their offense can be better.
All right, that's fair. That's a fair assumption or fair reckoning of what may or may not happen. I assume Sorokin is still the major goalie, right? The number one goalie, right?
He is. He is.
How old is he now, Chris? Is he older than Nico? Because I know they're best friends. I mean,
I don't have an age on him. I'll
okay,
check real fast, but I don't. Looks like. Come on now. He's 30.
he's 30.
Yeah, he just turned
Mm,
30 in the beginning of August.
all right, still got some good years ahead of him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he's got a lot of time left. Right now, your concern is Varlamov is dealing with an injury, with
right.
his knee, and so hopefully that's not something that's good because you've got a nice 1-2 punch with Sorokin and Varlamov, but the concern is that if Varlamov is misses any extended period of time, that pressure falls onto Sorokin, and that's disconcerting.
I've never seen Varlamov, and yeah, he played a lot last year, didn't he? Did he not? I think at some point.
They did.
Yeah, yeah. My nephew was constantly complaining about that. Why are they playing Sorokin? I don't know. It's your team. Yeah, I don't know. What are you asking me for?
You gotta give him nights off. He needs, they need time off, and this is why you take
Yeah.
the points, get the wins where you can. Yeah. I mean, I think there it's if they can do a better job of really if they can do a better job on special teams and they can score more goals and build a bigger cushion. I think those high danger chances are going to come more frequently for them because other teams are going to have to be a little bit riskier in their play in order to try and catch them. So they're more likely to make mistakes.
Mhm.
That's the thing. So the real question is whether or not they can convert on power plays.
It's interesting because if you're creative on the power play and you can force the other team to make mistakes on a penalty kill, it's kind of like in baseball when you put the freaking ball in play, or
Right.
just or take the extra base, force the defense to make a play. That's I mean it's in every sport. You got to force the defense to make a play because sometimes they're not going to make it, but then you
Right.
wind up scoring. Yeah. So yeah.
Also, I gotta own this. No, so their high danger chances were above league average, but their offense was not good. They were tied for 27th in the league,
Yeah,
which is
that's
last
that's
thirty
what I
games.
got from my nephew
Two
constantly
two point
complaining.
seven one goals for per game,
That's
which
not good.
so I apologize for I. It's interesting because when I watched them, I didn't feel like that was necessarily their problem. Obviously, the numbers back up that it is,
Mhm.
but it's yeah. I think they need to fix the special teams. Then those high danger chances can be converted more frequently.
That's very fair. Yep. Okay. So what's next on our board here? Cap space and future
Sure.
cap space. Yeah. Okay.
Future cap space first.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So the Islanders cap space is going to be in great shape moving forward. 2026, 2027, you're expected to have 28.2 million. And then 27 to 28 expected to have 59.45 million. And of course, that includes the increase that's happening league wide for the salary
Mhm.
cap, but gives you a lot of room to play and move around for this season, and that's going to be important for the upcoming UFAs and then RFAs, which we'll get to. This season, you have 1.625 million available, and basically, here's the deal. So we talked a little bit about this last time. I dug a little bit deeper into it so I could understand better. Basically, teams have to be cap compliant, which means you're at or below the cap ceiling at all times during the regular season. Typically, you're allowed to carry a 23 player active roster, and the combined cap hits of those players can't exceed the cap ceiling, which you already know. That's cap 101. The cap is managed on a daily basis, and each day of the season, a portion of the player's cap hit counts against the team's cap. If the team spends less than the cap on a given day, it accumulates cap space that can be used later in the season. So
Oh,
this is part of
okay.
why some teams bank cap space for trade deadline acquisitions. Conversely, a team right at the ceiling has no flexibility until it frees up money via moves like trades, waivers, or injuries. So basically, while the Islanders have 1.625 mil right now, they are expected to have 7.42, really 7.43 million available in cap space for the trade deadline. So that also gives Darch a lot of flexibility at the trade deadline. Are we doing well? Are we not doing well? If we're not doing well, we become sellers. If we are doing well, we become buyers. And we've got
Hmm.
more capacity than a lot of other teams to do it. Any questions
Um,
about that? Thoughts about that?
no, I'm still trying to understand cap space because the sport I followed all my life never had a cap
Right,
baseball.
right.
So. sometimes I'm a little like, okay, well, I think I understand that. Well, why can't they do that? Oh, they can't do that. Okay,
Right.
all right, so I
Yeah.
get it.
So basically, the idea behind the cap is to keep, well, ostensibly, it's to create parity,
Right.
right? And sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. Because sometimes you have owners who aren't willing to spend up to the cap, and that's when you start running into problems, right? Because you have cheap owners that are just looking to make a buck wherever they can.
The
Um,
Pittsburgh Pirates.
yeah, yeah, it's exactly the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? So you end up in those situations sometimes. Other times too, like it's not everything is created equal. So Brad Marchand, I think 2 days ago, did come out and say, "Oh, I mean, I wanted to stay in Florida, but I didn't think it was possible. But luckily, we're in a no tax state." And so he said the
Oh,
quiet part out loud. And people have been saying for a little while now it's not fair because there are no tax states and they're pulling from our teams that are in tax states. And it's like, and the argument went that like those no tax states were destinations players didn't want to go to. For a while, players didn't want to go to the Lightning. They definitely didn't want to go to the Panthers. They didn't, there were a bunch of places that players didn't want to go. That argument doesn't hold water anymore because out of the last five Stanley Cups, four of them have been won by uh, teams that are in no tax states, right?
yeah.
So it obviously hasn't been addressed in this CBA because that CBA is done. So that'll be a thing in the next CBA, I'm sure, because it allows teams to pay players less and cut deals they couldn't that other teams can't cut. So and then, of course, there is the problem where from a game standpoint, I like a salary cap from a game standpoint. But the problem is, realistically, what it does is it prevents players from making as much money as they possibly could. And
Mm,
so that is, from a labor standpoint, that is problematic. Now, people might say, "Oh, poor baby, you only make 7.6 mil a year instead of 7.9." I, I know, and I hear that, right? Like I'm not saying it's not like these players are poor. The point though, from a labor standpoint, is they deserve to make more, right? That's the thing, is everybody deserves, if we're truly talking about capitalism here, everybody deserves to make what they're worth. And the
exactly.
market says these players are worth more. They just can't be paid more because of the salary cap. I can't, I'm sure the team would have loved to have paid, I'm sure they would have loved to have paid Noah Dobson whatever he wanted,
Yeah.
but they
Well,
can't afford to with the
can't afford it.
salary cap. And that's not to say that Dobson is asking for too much money. He's asking for what he's worth, which makes sense to me, right? But the cap makes it impossible. And so the GMs, they've got to there is some coordination on how much are we willing to pay these players, because we don't want it to get too far out of hand because then we can't do our jobs, right? So yeah, I'm one of those people that, when you tell me burger flippers don't deserve $15 an hour, I say, yeah, they do. Well, that's how
Ooh,
much I make. Well, then you deserve to make more too. I'm not saying
right.
that it's not, it's a false equivalency. Everybody deserves to make what they're worth. And so that's the problem I have with the salary cap. But
Mm,
that
well,
is, so from a game standpoint, I like the idea because it's supposed to create parity. But from a realistic standpoint, it stymies what players can pursue. In this case, you leave cap space available for yourself it's like putting money into a savings account and then
mm,
accumulating a percentage of interest, right? Your plan is to have more money later. That's what's happening with the cap space. I mentioned in the last season preview, which was our Devils preview, I mentioned that the Devils were leaving cap space so that they could sign Luke Hughes.
mm.
The Islanders are leaving cap space so they have it available for the trade deadline.
Chris, I'm going to throw this out, but who's the highest paid player in the league? Is it Crosby?
No, 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 no. Right now, the highest paid player in the league. Oh my gosh, it's going to be Connor McDavid, but right now it's Draisaitl. Leon,
You should be, yeah.
sorry, I was trying to. I'm like, if I say I knew it wasn't McDavid, I knew it was Draisaitl, but I wasn't coming up with Draisaitl's name. So I'm like, if I say McDavid, I will remember Draisaitl because you don't mention one without the other usually. So
Yeah.
it's Leon Draisaitl.
Well, he earns every penny he
Yes,
makes.
he does.
And,
Yeah.
and like David, whatever contract he gets, is going to be well earned also.
As soon as you said he earns every penny, I was just thinking sometimes his wife comes down and picks it up. Whose wife?
Whose wife? That's
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Why not? He's earned every dollar. Who did? That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. That's Abbott and Costello, who's on first, folks, in case you didn't get it.
Yeah, if you didn't get it, go and watch it.
It's classic. It's the best
It holds
routine
up.
ever.
It holds up over time.
It's so funny. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So
so that covers our cap space, both future and current.
upcoming UFAs and RFAs.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So this is where again, it's gonna get a little tricksy. So we've got Anders Lee, who's a left winger, becomes an unrestricted free agent at age 36. He is, however, a responsible for a decent, despite how old he is, he's responsible for a decent portion of the Islanders' offense. So um, I suspect they're going to want to free up enough space to bring him back. Because I don't think the team's going to be clicking without him, and I don't think they're ready to transition away from him just yet. So my guess is they'll look for a little. They'll do one of two things. It'll be like a 1 or 2 year deal, and he's going to be happy with that, or he's going to sign something like a 6 year deal, which is all, but it's all front loaded, so that way he can retire early and but make the money that he wants to make. I don't know. We'll
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
Jean Gabriel Pajot, center, becomes an unrestricted free agent at age 33. My guess is they're going to want to keep him, and he's about to enter that stage where he's going to be looking for an 8 year deal. He's looking for that security.
Ah.
So whether or not they can give it to him, we'll see. Maxim Shabanov, left winger, becomes a restricted free agent at 25. Again, he's on either a 1 or 2 year two-way deal where they're just seeing what they can get out of him. Mark Gatcombe, center right winger, becomes a restricted free agent at age 27. I don't know much about him, so I can't say. Tony D'Angelo, defenseman, becomes an unrestricted free agent at age 30. Hopefully nobody. Hopefully you don't sign him back. Adam Boquist, defenseman, becomes a restricted free agent at age 26, so he'll be looking for a long-term deal.
26.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then David Riddick, goalie, becomes an unrestricted free agent at age 34. So we'll see what happens there. There isn't a ton to deal with in the upcoming off season. You've got a couple of big contracts, a couple of little stay at home business things, but I think if the Islanders have a good season, the biggest thing is whoever they pick up at the trade deadline,
Mhm.
they're gonna be big players at the trade deadline, and I think that Darch is gonna try and make a big splash where he brings in somebody big, and then he can sign them to an extension.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's going to be the big thing about this upcoming offseason is whoever the coveted unrestricted free agents are. I think he's gonna look to make a splash because the Islanders really haven't done that.
Is there international money in this sport like there is in baseball?
I'm unfamiliar with the international money in baseball.
Well, because you get a certain amount of international money when you trade a player. You can ask for that back instead of a player, and I think I know there's a ceiling on international monies. So, but I don't know exactly how that works. I just wanted to because I mean when I think when you think of it, international sports, I think the two sports I think of are hockey and baseball because you got players from all over the world, especially in the NHL. So
Yeah,
so
no, not as far as I know, but that's an area that's a gap in my knowledge, honestly.
okay. So, I have to do some more research about how it works in baseball too. But you hear that often. Oh, the Yankees they traded so and so and got international money to
Yeah,
spend.
I don't.
In the
I've
case of
I've never heard that before.
well, like when a player like Yamamoto last year came up and he landed with the Dodgers, you need to sign you before you can sign him. You have to put up money with his team in Japan to
Hmm.
even talk to him, and then if he
Got it.
agrees to a contract, then you got to sign him. So that's where the international money comes in. I think that's how that works. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm unfamiliar.
Okay. Oh, well, that I guess at least injury. I hate to talk about injuries, but we talk about injuries. Okay. So
Yeah,
injuries.
I mostly not too bad. Bo Horvat with his ankle, Attic Pellick undisclosed, Ryan Pullock undisclosed, Semyon Varlamov his knee, but all are expected to be ready for the start of camp.
Was
The only
Bartel
one,
hurt last year? Was Bartel hurt last year also? Did he get hurt again?
I'm sure he was at some point, but he's not on their injury list now.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
Matt Barzell hopefully is because he's also responsible
Barzell.
for
Yeah, I
controlling
told
their
Bartel
offense.
Barzell. I like coaching. Right.
But Jesse Nurmi underwent a procedure on his left knee, and he's not expected back until the start of the regular season in October.
Okay.
So we'll see. But yeah, injury, not much bad news on the injury front.
All right. Well, today is the 19th. The season begins
19th. Yeah,
on
he's
the
got a
7th
month.
of October. They got a month. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully they'll all be healthy, hale and healthy.
Yeah,
I always want to go into the season with the team healthy, obviously.
of course.
Regardless of the
Yeah.
sport. All right. So that leaves us with the schedule.
Schedule.
Next thing is the schedule is the next thing.
Uh, they got a tough one. I don't like their schedule. Um, so technically, according to Tankathon, they have the ninth easiest schedule out of 32 teams. But that, to me, that feels misleading. The reason that feels misleading is because so listen, that's based on a couple, well, really one thing mainly. How many times are they playing? How many times are they playing winning teams, good teams, bad teams, blah blah blah. But most teams see the same teams, just they play two games instead of three, or one game
Mhm.
instead of three. So it says ninth easiest schedule, but I disagree vehemently. The reason why is because they've got two 4 game road trips, which are not bad. Everybody has 4 game road trips. Then they've got two 7 game road trips.
Ooh,
Yeah,
7 games.
7 games.
Not everybody has a 7 game road trip in this sport. Is that correct? Am I
The Rangers
understanding
and the
that?
Devils don't so far. I haven't looked at the
Yeah,
other teams yet, but
you're
the
right. You're
Rangers and
talking
Devils
about the
don't.
yeah, seven. That's like
And I
18
got two
games
of
of
them.
baseball. Yeah,
So
wow.
their first road game trip is four road games, no back to backs, and all fairly local, all in the northeast corridor. There, nice, great. Their 7 game road trip spans early November, and they have one back to back from Vegas to Utah. Now, I don't love that because it's not like Utah's a million miles away or anything, but the back to back in a 7 game road trip can be tough. And then to tell me that you're playing Vegas first, I'd rather you see Utah first when you're fresh and then play Vegas on the back end when you're like, whatever happens, happens, right? Because you're going to be tired. Playing a
Yeah.
great and fast and skilled team like Vegas first and then going to Utah, you don't want to phone it in against Vegas.
No,
But
and a 7 game road trip shouldn't have a back to back in it. I would think. I don't know. Doesn't
I
seem
you
fair.
know I'd like to then their second 7 game road trip doesn't have back to backs, but it has a lot of travel. So they've got a 7 game road trip in January, no back to backs. But of the teams they play, they face the Wild, the Jets, the Oilers, and the
Like,
Canucks.
like,
So
wow.
a lot of travel and against some good teams.
Very good teams. Yeah.
And then they've got a 4 game road trip in California, which everybody does because you visit the Ducks and the Kings,
Okay.
all at the same time. And usually you have Seattle in there. You might have the
Okay.
Knights in there, but you're on the West Coast. So
Yeah.
they've got a 4 game road trip in Cali, and that ends in St. Louis. So a
And
little
you
bit
go
of
back.
travel
Okay.
back, but you're coming back east.
You're
So
coming back east, right?
yeah. So I don't those two 7 game road trips, they make up about a sixth of the season, 28 potential points out of
Wow.
164, and that's
That's a good
a
point.
lot of
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So Wah really needs to have his players ready to compete on those road trips if the Isles want breathing room to drop games at home, and they're going to need that because they're going to drop games at home.
Fair. What do we got? Things to fix and things to look forward to. Okay.
All
We
right. So
briefly
think
touched on things to look forward to earlier, but
Yeah,
things to
well,
fix.
I touched on it, but I
Yeah.
tried to stay away from it. Um, Things to fix: special teams. It's
Yeah.
awful. Their power play was at an abysmal 12.6% conversion rate, which is
Lord.
31st in the league, ahead of only the Anaheim Ducks. So their 12.6 conversion rate, the league average was 21.64.
Wow.
So that's
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 bad.
it's not just that you're 31st in the league, but everybody's kind of within a couple of percentage points. No, the league average was 21.64, and you converted 12.6% of the time. Unacceptable. Their penalty kill was better, but still, their penalty kill was 72.22% success rate. That's good for 31st in the league, ahead of only the Detroit Red Wings. And
Ooh.
again, the league average was more than a 6 full points more. So the Islanders' penalty kill success rate was 72.22%. The league average was 78.36%. You're not going to win. You cannot possibly win enough games with special teams like that.
No, you can't. No.
So they need that. They need consistency. The Islanders had seven winless skids of 3 or more games, compared to just 3 streaks of 3 or more wins in a row, and that was punctuated by a 7 game winning streak in late January.
Okay.
So they need that consistency. Those 7 winless skids of 3 or more games, no, you can't. Again, you're not going to have a successful season like that. 3 streaks of 3 or more wins in a row, you're starting to look like the Buffalo Sabres. You gotta pick it up,
Gotta pick
right?
it up. Yeah.
And then closing out games. The Isles allowed 94 third period goals, which is 10th most in the NHL.
That's
And
a
they
hell of a
allow,
lot.
I'm sorry?
It's a hell of a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they allowed 10 tying or go ahead goals in the final 3 minutes of the third period that season. They went 3-3-4 over that span. So you gotta put your foot on the gas. So things to fix in brief: special teams, both sides of the puck, closing out the games. You gotta finish, and consistency.
Mm, okay. What does that leave us with?
Things to look forward to.
Things to look forward to. Okay, go ahead.
Darch is the big thing here in my mind. That and Schaefer. Schaefer is going to play this year, no doubt about it. He is a very skilled young player. It is harder to adjust on defense than it is on offense. So don't expect like a brilliant season from him or anything, but we should get flashes of what you can expect in the future. So I think it's going to be fun and exciting to see that kid on the ice. Darch was the assistant GM in Tampa for the past 3 seasons. Before that, he spent 3 years in Tampa as their director of hockey operations. So he's a young man. He's only 48. He was with the Lightning for their 2 cup wins in 2020 and 2021. And again, we already talked about this, but he already made some strong moves, the biggest of which was trading defenseman Noah Dobson to the Canadiens. The Islanders couldn't reach an agreement on a new contract, and so he came in, and it's not like he dumped the entire roster. It's not like he dumped Wah. He came in and he was like, "We're not getting this done, so let's get something for him." And he made a good deal happen. So I think there's a lot to look forward to with Darch. I think he learned a lot from his 6 years in Tampa, 2 of which included cups. He's been boots on the ground as director of hockey operations and assistant GM, so he's learned a lot. I think he can bring a lot of strong strong decision making to the aisle. So I think Darch is something to look forward to. Again, continue generating those high danger scoring chances. The Islanders were above league average last season. They're going to need to keep doing that.
Mhm.
That's right now. That's going to have to be their bread and butter. And improved health. Question mark. They are tied for the ninth oldest team in the league. So hopefully they can stay healthy and start taking steps in the right direction. But they gotta do it quickly because it's not like this is just a young team struggling through growing pains. They're ninth oldest in the league out of 32 teams. So they got to figure it out. That's not to say I'm looking for them to win a cup this year or anything like that because that ain't going to happen. But I will say that like if they can stay healthy, if they can train up some of these young guys, if they can find that consistency, and if they can even honestly even just hit the league average with their special teams, they'll be in much better shape. So
Could that transfer, or could that make them a playoff team? Could they get into the
yeah, oh
playoffs?
for sure.
Okay.
They absolutely could be a playoff team if they can hit those marks.
Okay.
I say that because the just the last couple of years, and I'm sure before then too, but I'm thinking the last couple of years, the NHL, like the wild card spots, there's always one that like is just up for grabs that nobody seems to want. And so, this year when you're looking at the division, right? It's a real Carolina is going to be near the top. They just are. They're consistent. They've only gotten better, and that's great. The Devils will be up there if they're healthy. I'm convinced of it. They'll be up there if they're
Mhm.
healthy. The Rangers under new coach Mike Sullivan, how quickly do they figure it out? If they figure it
Hopefully,
out
very
quickly,
quickly.
yeah, if they figure it out quickly, they're up there, right? I don't know that the Caps can stay consistent enough to really like be up near the top. And maybe I'm just throwing cold water on doubts because I don't think they can do it twice. But I think you have question marks around all these teams except the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So there are chances within the division because the Pens are not competitive. The Blue Jackets I think are unlikely to be. They're Columbus is trending in the right direction, but they're not there yet. And the Flyers are I think will continue to be an S show. That's what
The
I'm
Flyers.
expecting from the division. In the Atlantic Division, the Bruins are still trash. The Sabres are still trash. I wish they weren't, but they are. The Red Wings are in rough shape, but maybe they can make a play for a wild card. The Panthers will be fine, but they're going to be without Matthew Kachuk until I believe at least December.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
what's wrong with him?
Just the injuries that he suffered in the playoffs last
Yeah,
year.
yeah. He was playing on one leg basically. Yeah.
Yeah. The Lightning are going to be good. Toronto will make the playoffs. The Senators are trending in the right direction, but can they keep it up or do they take a step backwards? So there are a lot of question marks around a lot of these teams. So I do think that there is a playoff spot for them. I do think it'll be a wild card if they pull it
Oh
off.
yeah.
I do think there's a playoff spot for them.
No, that's good to hear. All right. So maybe all three of our metropolitan teams will make the playoffs this year. So
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
yeah. I mean, there's space there for sure, but they gotta rack up those wins.
Okay, let's hope that's the case. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned with the Rangers, I mean, it's new coach. Hopefully, the system works. They catch on right away,
Right.
and I'm not, I would not even think the Rangers would pick them to win the division, but I want to see them make the playoffs, obviously. So, and the same thing with the Islanders. I'm one of these fans, New York fans. That doesn't. I don't hate the Mets. I'm a Yankee fan. I don't hate the Jets. I'm a
Yeah.
Giant fan. I love football. I love the
Yeah.
Rangers, but I do not hate the Islanders, nor do I hate your team, the Devils. So, you know, I'm a regional fan. I like my New York-based teams, and when my team can't get in there, I want the Yankees can't make it to the World Series this year, then maybe it'll be the Mets.
Sure.
Look, if the Yankees and the Mets make it to the World Series this year, then there should be an investigation. Because the other teams through it, because it'd be like 1919 all over again. But
Right.
we'll see what happens with that. So
Yeah.
fingers still crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, reason to hope for the Isles for a playoff spot. Are they going to make a big leap this year? No, but there's stuff to be excited about. So we'll see.
Good. It's good to hear. Okay. I'll talk to my nephew. He's right now. I think he's with the family now in Disney World.
Well, I was going to say, check in with him and ask him what I got wrong because I want to know.
All right, well, I'll send him this episode when James drops it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sticking with us so far, sports fans. And Joe, thank you as
Yes.
always for your curiosity, your insight, and your questions.
And thank you, Chris, for your hockey acumen.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Oh, thanks. Well, again, I don't know the Islanders as well as some of the other teams, so we'll see. Again, check in with your nephew, see how much I got wrong.
Okay.
But we'll catch you next time, sports fans. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, leave reviews for us. Take care. We'll talk to you next time.